I am back with another episode for my Miracles and Signs series. Today, this one is going to be about my hitchhiking experience. Hitchhiking, 1989. I'm pretty sure it was around 1989. If it wasn't exactly 89, it was 87 or 90, but let's go with 1989. I had a friend. We're going to call her Cassie. And we were both drunk. I was about 13 or 14 years old. I think I was 13. We were both drunk, and I had a really bad alcohol problem from the age of 13 to 19. Another episode for another day. And we just decided we were going to go to California. And this was, I know that I mentioned in my first Miracles and Signs episode that these are not in chronological order. So the reason why I'm telling you that is because this was not the first time I tried to go to California and at a young age and was stopped by something very strange. Not by far. So we're going to go with this one, 1989. And we're going to go to California for whatever reason, because we were young and stupid and thought we could just do anything we wanted without consequences. And so that's what we did. I don't even remember where we were to get on the truck. I think it was Galloway in Arkansas. There's a truck stop in Galloway. I don't know how we got to Galloway. I don't remember. A lot of my life was really a blank back then. Like now there's so many parts of my life that I cannot remember because I was always drunk. And so somehow we got to Galloway. And at this truck stop, we hitched a ride with a man, an old, creepy man. Probably wouldn't, we didn't think about creepy back then. We didn't care, especially when you're drunk and you're young and you're dumb. And his handle was Southern Comfort. I'm pretty sure that's not very unique. I'm sure a lot of truck drivers use that handle, but that was his handle, Southern Comfort. And we got in this truck. And he said he was going to take us to California, but he had to go through Mississippi first, which is, south. It was a very strange way. He told us that he had to go to different states before we got there. And we're like, oh, okay, no problem, whatever. As long as we get there, we didn't care. And so I remember we were driving for hours and hours and hours, and this was at night, and it was still dark, and we started to get hungry, and we asked him, will you get us something to eat? So he just kept driving. He kept driving past exits and everything, and it started to feel a little creepy, dangerous, because he also stopped talking to us. Because when we first got in the truck, he was very talkative. He was very welcoming, inviting, just to draw us to get into the truck. And so when we did that, once he had us in the truck, his attitude, his personality kind of shifted. So eventually, when we started, showing our discomfort, and really, actually, my friend Cassie was already passed out in the back section of the I guess that's where they sleep back there. She was back there. I was sitting in the front of the truck, and I started, even before she passed out, I started feeling like something's not right. And then just like with my tornado situation in 1997, I also felt this feeling like, anybody can feel it. You don't have to be, in your 20s or 30s to have instinct and intuition, and know when something isn't right. But again, this was different. This was like just something telling me, not just instinct or my own instinct or intuition, but something telling me I needed to get out of this truck. So finally, I convinced him to pull over at the next exit. So I said, "Please, I need to use the bathroom. We need to get something to eat." And so his attitude was like very different from when he first picked us up. He became like angry. He didn't want to stop. He didn't want, basically the way I see it, he didn't want to give us any opportunity to get out the truck. And but he did anyway, because I don't know why, but he did it like against, I could tell he didn't want to, but he did anyway, which is strange in itself, because if you think about it, if he really doesn't want to, why would he? He has us where he wants us. Whatever it is that he planned to do to us, he knew he was taking a risk by pulling over at a gas station, but he did. He pulled into the gas station, and he said he pulled kind of close to where he could see from the door, but he's in this big truck, so he couldn't get too close. He said, "Stay right here. I will be right back." And he ran into the store. And then I immediately, when he got out and I saw his back, I started shaking my friend. I said, "Cassie, get up now. We are getting out of this truck." And she's like, because she was drunk. But I finally, convinced her to get up, and we got out. And as we were heading, toward like gas pumps and where people are and lights and everything under the bay, he was coming out of. He was like, he did this fast. I mean, what he did probably was just run into the front, grabs, because when he came out, he had like a bag of cheap chips and a little can of dip, which you usually find in the little racks right there close to the register. And he just grabbed something and came back outside, and he saw us, and he was like coming toward us very fast, and you could see like almost panic in his face, because we had gotten out of the truck and he probably knew he shouldn't have stopped. So he said, "Where are you going? Where are you going? I got you food." And I said, "No, thanks. We'll find another ride home." And I don't remember what he said exactly, but you could tell he was very mad, and he cussed us. That's all I remember was cursing. And so he left, and thank God we got out of that situation. So here's the thing. You would think that the first thing I would do, because honestly, I don't know where I was. I don't know what state I was in. Like I told you, we were driving for hours and hours, like all night into, it was probably, 3 or 4 in the morning. So I don't know where we were. To this day, I couldn't tell you what state I was in. And, but I was definitely sober by this time, that is for sure. But the thing that, a smart person would do is just use the lighting, the gas station and the advantage, and go call my mom or somebody to come and get us. Somebody we knew. We could have stayed there. We could have called the police, but we were young, dumb teenagers, and that's not something we want to do. We were drunk. We're in another state. We were hitchhiking with, truck drivers, and we just don't. We're not going to do that. And I don't really know any young, troubled teenager that would do that. But God didn't. God knew I wasn't going to do that either. So instead, I know he did, because it was just so strange when the next thing that happened. So another truck driver, we were walking through the parking lot over to the other side. I don't know why. I don't remember. But we were staying in the light, but kind of off to the side. I don't know what was going on in my mind from beginning to end. I don't know what went on in my head for doing something so stupid. But we walked over toward the other side of the gas station, and this other truck driver, he came out. I think he came out of the gas station. I don't remember, or he came from somewhere around the gas station, and he said, "Do you girls need a ride?" Now, after what we just went through and just got out of and escaped, telling what could have happened to us, right? Something in my mind, something told me, like a voice told me, you can trust him. And I didn't feel like the least bit afraid of this man. And, Cassie was looking at me like, should we, she was kind of leery about trusting anybody at this point, and I should have been. But that voice told me, you can trust him. And so I said, okay, we'll go with you. And I told him, where we were living, and apparently, he was like going in the same direction, so that was good. And so we got in his truck, and his handle was Pack Rat. I remember he was a skinny little guy with brown hair and wore like a cap on his head. The other guy, Southern Comfort, was kind of a bigger guy with a beer belly, could tell you he didn't take care of himself. But Pack Rat, he was very nice, and he seemed very concerned. And he asked us when we got in and we started driving, after we'd already told him where we lived and everything, and he said he would drop us off in North Little Rock because it was on his way. So he started asking us, do you know what he planned to do to you? And I'm like, no, what do you mean? And he said he was going to sell you. And I was like, sell me? I mean, I'm young at this time. I had no idea what he was talking about. But, it kind of scared me even before I even understood what it was. It was kind of making me feel like, wow, okay, this is something really bad, as it would anyone. And so he explained to me that, he had heard Southern Comfort talking on the CB radio and some kind of code or something, that he had 2 red hair, blue-eyed white girls. Because at the time, my hair was dyed, and I've always had sort of like a red tint to my hair anyway, but I had dyed it red. And my friend Cassie's hair was naturally red. So, and we both had blue eyes. And so he had heard on the CB that Southern Comfort had 2 young teenage girls with white skin, red hair, and blue eyes. And he was going to sell us at the border of the Mexican United States border. Human trafficking. And that's why, he didn't really, do anything to us before. He didn't murder us or anything, thankfully, but because we were like product. And not Southern Comfort, but Pack Rat, the good one, was explaining this. And he seemed, he was just very concerned. He said, why are you out here doing this? You look like lot lizards. I didn't know what a lot lizard was, but apparently it's a hooker that hangs around truck stops and stuff, and what they do. And I'm like, no, we're not that. We just wanted to go to California. And he said, well, I'm definitely not going to California, and I think that you should not go to California either. And, at this point, we had already forgotten about California and decided we were going to go home anyway. But it was very scary what he told me, that, he was going to sell us. But we drove for hours and hours with this man named Pack Rat. His handle was Pack Rat. And I remember driving even when the sun was coming up the next morning. I did find out at this point that we were somewhere in Mississippi. And I said earlier that I don't remember where, but now it just popped in my head because I remember we stopped at a diner. He stopped to let us get something to eat at a diner. And not one time during this many, many hours drive did I feel unsafe with this man. And he bought us food. He, made sure that, we were comfortable, that we didn't feel uncomfortable with him. He never, not even in the slightest, gave any indication that, he had bad intentions. And I just thank God for that, because hundreds of thousands of people go missing every year in the United States. Now that sounds like a lot. It really is a lot. Hundreds of thousands of people go missing in the United States every single year. I had to repeat that to myself because that's such a massive number. Of course, most of those cases are runaways. Situations like that, they're not necessarily kidnappings, but a lot of them are kidnappings. And so many people just don't, you never hear from them again. You never see them again. And it's very scary that when I look back on the things that I did as a teenager and the stupid things that I did as a teenager, that I could have died so many times. And this is just one of those examples that it's so scary. And I was so blessed to have someone looking over me, because I could have gotten in a truck too with a serial killer, or just someone who wanted to, do something terrible to us and then, kill us and throw us on the side of the road somewhere. I can't even imagine, something like that happening. It's terrifying, but I did it. I risked myself so many times. That was definitely a miracle in my life, where God was looking out for me, because so many things could have gone wrong. So many things could have happened. And no telling what would have happened if I'd made it all the way to California, if I actually made it that far, which it didn't look like I would have made it that far. This guy wanted to sell us, and human trafficking all over the world and in the United States, it goes on a lot, and we don't realize it. We don't see it. But every single day, someone is sold into sex slavery, or someone is kidnapped and their organs are cut out. And it's just so terrible to think about that could have happened to me more than once. And there have been so many instances where I could have been kidnapped. I could have been, killed. I could have, anything. And I just thank God every day that He protected me, and that these things did not happen to me or to my friend. And I just wanted to share that. It just another one of those really miraculous things that I just can never forget, because of the circumstances, the kind of person that I was at the time. I was rebellious. I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I didn't want anybody to tell me what to do. That's why I left home. I ran away when I was 13 years old. And when I ran away, that's another miracle, because another situation, another time when I was trying to go to California, and it just didn't pan out, if you know what I mean. But that's for another episode, another Miracles and Signs episode. But for now, that's all I have. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.